Hello, my name is Cassidy Brown, and today I want to talk about why freedom of the press is an issue in 2017 and how censorship is affecting the globe today. I decided to do this for my final project because I was really interested when we talked about in the discussion board censorship and how it's different around the world, and how we're lucky in the United States versus other countries that don't have rights that protect journalism. And so we're just going to cover that issue today and how censorship is part of that, and what scholarly people and journalists are predicting is what's going to happen in the future in the US and around the globe as countries are developing and globalization is happening. So first thing I wanted to talk about is what is freedom of the press, just to define it and have a definition. So T.L. Glasser and T.W. Gleason, in an article, Freedom of the Press in the 21st Century, an Agenda for Thought and Action, defined it as freedom of the press is the right to circulate opinions in print without censorship by the government. Americans enjoy freedom of the press under the First Amendment to the Constitution, which states, Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech or of the press. And then they go into detail about why we have freedom of the press and what it does for the citizens of our country. They are primarily designed to provide protection against state impediments to citizens' expression, to permit challenges to state authority, and to break state-sanctioned monopolies on distribution of information. So pretty much they're used so that dictatorship doesn't happen, that the government doesn't control what's going on in every aspect of our lives, and that we know what's going on in our country as citizens. And we'll go into what kinds of censorships happen and why, and for what reasons those are in place. But as for now, we'll go into the current situation of freedom of the press rights in the United States versus other countries around the world. So because technology has changed how things are recorded, so has freedom of the press. Originally, freedom of the press covered only professional journalism, but today many average people are recording the news and spreading it with the public. So should they not get protection too? Originally, freedom of the press protects mostly just journalism and people who are professional journalists, but as stated by Josh Stearns in his article Defining Press Freedom in the Digital Age, he says, in today's climate, it makes no sense for press freedom to apply only to a narrow class of professionals. Everyday Americans are central to the future of journalism as new consumers, distributors, and creators. We need to push for policies that protect these new participants. It's not enough to protect traditional journalists. We must protect all acts of journalism. So as we move forward in the United States, and social media is becoming a lot bigger, you can write whatever you want on Facebook. And we'll get into a little bit how corporate censorship, because Facebook is not part of the government, they can choose as an organization what they will show to their consumers, and what they choose to not share. So that's the situation in the United States currently. Around the world, stated by Unsuk, S.A., Dr. Unsuk, I'm not really sure how to pronounce that, but in his article, Disordered Democracy and Freedom of the Press Under Capitalism, he's from South Korea, and he stated this about the freedom of press in Asian countries. Major ideas of press freedom and democracy have been based on Western contexts. These ideas have worked in the Western countries and pre-globalization. However, there has been considerable debate on whether freedom of the press is unhealthy for transitional non-Western states and after globalization. Press freedom is not guaranteed everywhere in the world because political power and bias directly or indirectly influence the media. The Western contention of a free press is compatibility with a democracy is an illusion. The situation is confirmed in Korea. So in Korea, they have a situation where has had a long authoritarian rule and a new and short liberal rule. And so they go on to talk about this. Media environments are unhealthy because the media have often been partisan in their reporting, attacking one side or supporting the other side rather than presenting objective reports as is journalism's rule. Even today, the conservative power groups, including major newspapers, are based on groups that are pro-Japanese colonial rule and supported the dictators' regimens. Today their power is greater than liberal voices. Even after democratization, as Yang Chai-Jiao argues, the media has been aligned with political power and conservative voices based on anti-Muslim ideology because of the divided Korea. It is an unusual situation in developed countries that even after democratization, conservative and partisan news still dominate newspapers. During the first appearance of the rebels, major newspapers have aggressively and seriously attacked the rebel governments. So pretty much what that's saying is that countries like Korea that were under a dictatorship or capitalism, when they switched to democracy, a lot of the newspapers that were with that group that dictated, or the family line or whatnot, they became very biased in them, and people with a lot of money will buy out, and people who have a lot of power in their country will buy out news outlets so that they're one-sided and for them. So it can lead to like kind of manipulating the public by spreading that news that way. So it's kind of situation I touched mostly on Asian countries, but as far as the standing, the most censored country is Eritrea. Number 2 on the list is North Korea. Number 3, Saudi Arabia. 4, Ethiopia. 6, Vietnam. 7, Iran. China. 8, 9, Myanmar. And 10, Cuba. And I feel like in America we talk about how China is so censored, and we always talk about that in schools and we use them as an example, but to think that they're number 8 on the list of most censored countries is kind of surprising to me, and that was something that I learned through this. I just always thought China